Well, today's project, you see we've got a refrigerator that's not defrosting. So on this particular one, I come in here, checked it out. We got about 30 degrees in the freezer, and the fridge is sitting about 60. So we can't keep food that way. So I've already went in here and looked at the defrost timer, took it off. And you can manually put it in and out of defrost by rotating that screw right there. So I manually put it in the defrost, didn't see no difference. The ice is still there. So now I'm going to take a hairdryer, melt out some of this ice, get into it, and we're going to find out exactly what the problem is. I have an idea, but we need to confirm. All right, you can see we're getting some of the ice off, but before we can get this back panel off, because we've got to get back here to the coils and the defrost element and the little thermostat that's back in there. I need to get a couple of screws loose right here, drop the ice maker out of the way. We'll get it out of the way, then we should be able to get this metal plate off the back because it's only held in by 2 screws. Okay, and to remove the ice maker, you just take one screw out the bottom, then just loosen the top 2 and it lifts up. It's on a little slot that you can see here. It comes right out of the way, and you just unplug it from that little plastic connector. So now we just got 2 screws to loosen up, and I'll see if I can't remove this whole plate. Okay, got the 2 screws out, and a tip, we do need to finish removing these screws for the ice maker so we can lean this forward. Let's poke the wire in there. Let's see if I can get this out with one hand. Looky there. We have all kinds of frost, ain't we? Now we gotta do a little more defrosting with a hairdryer so I can get in here and see what the problem is. Okay, let's stop and try to explain a little bit what's going on here. Why is it like the freezer will be cold, but the refrigerator will not be? Because what happens is, because you've only got coils in the freezer compartment, that makes all the cold for both the freezer and the refrigerator. And you got this fan that's always drawing cold air. There's little slots down here at the bottom. And there's a plate that fits in the bottom here that I've already removed. And it'll have little holes here. So cold air is always being drawn underneath your food, and it passes these cold coils, and it gets blown out through this fan. Then when it goes into that fan, it goes into this little box, and this box, if you see all that ice in there, it eventually blocks the airflow. So this little box, in turn, blows that ice cold air, a part of it, down into the refrigerator section. The bulk of it, you can see this large opening, the bulk of it stays in the freezer because you want it like 0 degrees. We only want about 34 or so in the refrigerator. So you see how narrow it gets, and it only gives you just a little bit of cold air in the refrigerator, just enough to maintain the temperature. But if the defroster breaks for whatever reason and doesn't melt that frost off every 8 or 10 hours, then it keeps building up to a point where it blocks off the airflow. So that's why you'll get warm temperatures in the refrigerator and still have cold temperatures in the freezer. See that solid block of ice? That's blocking the air. It cannot go down into the refrigerator at all. In fact, you can see in the bottom of the fridge, you can see right here, that's where the cold air will blow out. So let's get to the hairdryer thing and get in here and see if we can't find the bad component. Okay, test number 1. I believe this is going to be our culprit right here, the little thermostat. That's a little safety device. If it gets too hot, it'll break the connection and keep from damaging the refrigerator. Okay, I think we're getting close. This is our little thermostat here that tells the heating element to come on or off. So we can see right now, I'm using a proximity tester, and we have no power on either wire, because we shouldn't have, because at the moment we're in cooling mode. I'm going to manually put it in defrost mode. Remember I showed you that little screw under there. Get in here and rotate this. When the compressor and stuff shuts off, okay, now it's in defrost mode. Okay, now you see we have power. We have power going in, but on the other wire we don't have power going out. So if we don't have power going out, we don't have power feeding this heating element that's supposed to heat up and melt the ice off. So as a quick test, I'm just going to jump over those wires, and that heating element should come on. And I think we have found the problem, and I can show you here. with my little thermal gun. Remember how I jumpered the wires here? Bypassed the little thermostat. And down here, that little black piece at the very bottom, that is our heating element. And let me see what temperatures we got. Yeah. 531 degrees. Pretty warm. And you can see that, you can see how it's dripping now. So at least now we know exactly what the problem is. The defrost timer is good. We know the heating element is good. So the only thing that left was this component right here, a little thermostat. So I don't know how much these are, 10 bucks maybe, 12. Anyway, I'll get one ordered and we'll put it back together and we'll have a working refrigerator. Well, it's 2 days later and you see I got my $8 part. So we'll see if $8 won't fix this refrigerator. And while I'm at it, I want to document what this refrigerator is. It's a Roper or Whirlpool. Let's get its model number. I like to document the model number. Come on, there she is. All right, so that's what we're dealing with. Now, all we gotta do is strip some wires back, put a couple ends on it, and so let me get that started, and we'll be ready for a test run. I'm working with one hand tonight because you see here's the old one, same color wires. I've just spliced the new one into the old wires. Put me a little wire nut on here, or actually it's a crimping nut, and I got me a crimping tool. I'm going to give it a squeeze, and then we'll hook this up and plug it up and give it a test. Okay, it's been running about 10 minutes now, and show you the temperature on the coils. Already down to about 23 degrees. And remember earlier, or the other day when I checked this, we had power on one wire, not power on the other, because it's not in defrost mode at the moment. So now we're going to force it into defrost. So we'll get the screwdriver here. Remember, there's a little dial in here you can rotate. And when you can tell, because the compressor will shut off. Okay, now we're in defrost. And as you can see now, we now have power on both wires. So it's telling me it's definitely in defrost mode. And this element should be heating up, so let's take a temperature of it. Okay, let's put that on the heating element. See, we got 300, almost 400 degrees. So we know we are going in defrost mode. Now, one final test I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it in defrost mode just to confirm the timer is also good. So I'm going to let it sit here, so within 30-40 minutes it should come out of defrost mode and start running again. As long as it does that, I know everything is fixed and I'll put it back together. Well, it's been an hour. I came back and of course it's come back on like I thought it would. And so I know our defrost timer is working, and we've already got what kind of temperature we got here. 20 degrees in the freezer, and the fridge is already 37. So yeah, it's cooling down quick. So I'm gonna call this one fixed for $8. So now you can fix yours too. Thanks for watching. I'll put a few screws in this thing, put it back together, and we'll be done. Okay, I want to further explain a little bit how the airflow works in this type of refrigerator and why it's important not to cover up all these little vents down here. Because you see how you got that fan in the back, and it's blowing out a tremendous amount of air. Because as it's blowing out air, it's also drawing air from somewhere. So it draws air like down through these slots. So it pulls air down through these slots underneath this plastic plate, then draws it up through this metal plate across all those coils you saw, and then blows out the ice cold air. It just keeps going around and around. So the bulk of the air blows out into the freezer. A small amount is directed down into the refrigerator, because we want usually we want about 0 in the freezer and 35, 36 in the refrigerator. But so that's why keep that in mind when you pack your freezer, not to block these and not to cover up all these vents here. There you go. Well, thanks for watching. Have a great night. See you. Bye.